So here's an obvious statement. If you want to make money with crypto, you have to sell the crypto. That is, if you want to turn it into cash. So yesterday, I went over 3 things talking about, hey, you're not going to make money unless you sell, which is quite obvious. So what are the 3 things you want to do? What I want to do is I want to make money. I want to be able to get my capital back, usually as soon as possible. It makes me feel good because I'm playing with house money. And then lastly, I save some to let it run. I'll show you what I mean by that. First, this is crypto for the rest of us who do this 6 days a week tip, tool, or coin analysis. And we were giving a tip yesterday on, hey, look around where you live, easy to buy, look around at where you can sell stuff. It's hard. Selling is usually the most difficult part for people. So check out this simple sell sheet. So this is what I showed yesterday. We've just got, let's just go over it. ICP, let's say we have 3,000. We paid $9 for each, is $27,000. If you saw yesterday, I'm going to go over this kind of quick. Over here, we just split up those 3,000 into 6 different chunks of 500, keeping it simple. So these essentially will be the sell levels. Sell price, I put in 40, 60, 80, 120, 140, 160. Simply just take the number of coins by the price, and that's how much you would make when you sold it. Add all those up. And if all of these were to execute, you'd make 300,000. You subtract what you invested, and you end up with 273. Okay, excuse me, 2 more things. So then you want to figure out what's your average price. Why do you have sell levels? Well, you have sell levels, in my opinion, because you don't know if it will ever get up to these higher levels. So over here, you can see an average of 100. Real simple. How do I do that? Well, 500 is 17% of 3,000. So on this level, you're selling 17% of the coins. You just multiply that by the price you want to sell at, and that's where you get this number. Add them all up, and you have essentially your average. Okay. So if you were to say, well, I want a $100 average, you might be thinking, well, the easiest thing to do is just sell everything at $100. Yes, but it may not ever hit $100. And what we don't want to do, what I don't want to do, I forgot my disclaimer. I'm a big dumb animal. Don't do what I do. Informational purposes only. But what I don't want to do is ride something up and then watch it go back down and never sell. So to take myself out of the equation, I put in sell orders. This is what I usually do with stocks. This is what I do with crypto. So maybe it doesn't get to 100 and I only end up executing these 3. Well, that's still 70, 90,000 minus roughly 30. You're going to end up with $63,000 profit. And then maybe I sell the rest underneath here. But if it never gets to that 100, I might watch it go up and watch it come back down. Okay, so that's the first reason. Now over here, on this case, I'm showing the example of I've got this on the Coinbase exchange. Here are the dates. I just put the date of when I put the sell order in. So I put in these orders and I didn't put in this one. Okay, so the 3 things I want to go over today, and the reason I wanted to do this second video is because there was an individual that made a comment, valid comment, great comment. And you know the way YouTube does names, it doesn't actually have a name. I think it starts with GV, but if he's watching or she, thank you very much. They said, you know what? The only way you can put a limit order, this is entirely true, is if you have your money on the exchange, and many people don't want to keep their money on the exchange. They want to keep it in a wallet, self-custody it, maybe even cold storage. So they don't want to have it sitting out on that exchange. So in that case, well, what are you going to do? So I wanted to explain here, there's a couple things you can do. And you might want to reverse this process. You don't have to put everything on the exchange. So if you wanted this many sell orders right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you could just put 1 sell order or 2 sell orders, meaning you would only have 1,000 on the exchange and you'd have sell orders for them. Now, when I say I might reverse this process, because he got me thinking, because I do have a lot of self-custody of coins and I was moving them over as I was setting up sell orders. And I got to thinking because of his comment, you know, maybe what I'll do is everything is typically a triangle. So when people start selling at the bottom, meaning the lower prices of say 40 or 60, you usually have a lot of people involved. As that price goes up, you'll see from some of these heat maps, you have a lot less buy and sell orders. The pool of individuals buying ICP at $160 probably is going to be much smaller than the pool of individuals buying and selling it at $40. Therefore, as you go up. So what does that mean? That means that I'm probably more likely, because also it's a lower price, of hitting a 40 or 60. So maybe I put nothing on the exchange. and I move it over at these sell levels and just sell without an order. But then as it starts to run up, that's when I move it over these 500, 500, 500 onto the exchange and put in my orders, because most of these, as it gets higher, are probably more likely to be executed on some sort of a shot up, a wick up and a wick down. So that's one way to take care of it, is don't put everything on. And maybe you only end up putting on these top ones. So that's a little bit of how you can mitigate the self-custody if you still want to be able to use sell orders so you don't miss some of these other prices. The second thing is something I didn't point out. I talked about not putting a sell order for some of the coins because I like to, as I call it, just let it run. This is my greed box here, where if I put in an order of 160 and it sells, well, how am I going to feel if this sucker goes to $300? Not good. I'm going to feel like a moron. So what would I do in this case? Well, I said that I would break this out and make another entirely different sheet for that 500. I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. But here's the other reason I want to do it. Many of you might go through and let's say you've invested $10,000 and you say to yourself, I want to make 50,000, right? So everyone says, okay, I want to make a 5X. And you set up all your sell orders so that you get a 5X return on everything. Well, if one of those cryptos ends up doing a 2X, then you're not going to average 5 on everything, obviously, unless something ends up being an 8X. We're talking apples to apples, same amount of money, same amount of investment. You get the idea. The point is, if something doesn't reach that target, then something else has to outperform the target. Well, that will become an impossibility if you have sell orders for every single coin and all of your coins. Because if you've already put in sell orders to achieve a 5X, well, those that are going to run are going to sell out and you'll be done at your 5X, and nothing could possibly get more than 5X because you've already put all the sell orders in. So by leaving some available, you allow some of these that may really take off to achieve a higher price, and you'll still have some coins to get a higher price, thereby increasing some of these to a 5, an 8, a 10, a 20, who knows, right? But at least it'll help cover those that don't do what you think they're going to do. Okay, that's the other reason for having this. So the 3 things I want to talk about today was 1, the self-custody versus having it on exchange. What you can do, you can put some of them on. The second thing was the reason I want to let this run is because I want to take advantage of those that may really take off and make sure that I'm hitting my goal. And then the third thing, it may not have been clear. I said, look, let's say all of these sell orders execute. Now I have another 500 and it's gone above 140. What am I going to do? Just wait and hope to sell? Well, again, as it becomes more expensive, it might be harder to get those higher prices. So what I'm going to do is going to wipe these guys out. We're going to say, look, we've only got 500 left. And so maybe we're going to do, let's just make it simple. No, let's do this. 200, 200, 100. And our pricing levels are, well, it was about, let's say 180. And we start putting in new things because we see this guy's really running. We say, who knows? So that's the amount that they would come out for each of these. 200 times 180 would be 36, 200. So what we've done here is we've taken this 500 that we didn't have an order for. When it got above 140, we said, great. Now what do we want to set things at? Maybe you still let things run. That would be up to you. But we broke up this 500 into 3 more sell orders of higher prices. And then here's what that additional 500 would yield. Well, there's our investment amount. Yes, it's 100%. Our average on that 500 would be 220. And then you can see that it's going to yield additional amount there. So, and in this case, what you could do is you could say, yeah, well, you know what? I would like to let this sucker run again. So I'm just going to sell out at these 2 prices and let's see if it gets above 220. And maybe the 100, we break it out again. Obviously, you can keep doing this. Okay, so yesterday I wanted to point out that 1, it's always harder to sell things and you want to make money, so you got to sell. The second thing was, let's make sure we get some of our capital back at one of our first or second sell levels. You invested 27, you get 20 on your first sell. Great. The third thing was, let's leave this area here, some of the coins, so we can let them run. Then today we're talking about, hey, well, when it comes to self-custody versus keeping it on an exchange, you may want to sell these, move them over when the time is to sell, so you don't have sell orders. And then maybe you move them over and put sell orders on some of these higher ones, however you want to do it. On the lower ones, on the higher ones. I think I'd opt for the higher ones. And then you want to break out, or what I do is break out that if it gets higher, that amount that I didn't have a sell order for, and do the whole process all over again. And then thirdly, well, why do I even let this run? Because if something underperforms, I need something to overperform. And if I have sell orders on everything, I can't possibly have something overperform. That's it for today. I hope that was helpful. This is something I think you should do, whether you put sell orders in or not. Even if all your stuff is on cold storage or just self-custody, I think it's good to walk through to make sure that you've got your sell orders in your mind and your levels in your mind, so you can already calculate right now today exactly how much you think you're going to make. And then you can keep an eye on it. It's always good to have some sort of a point that you would be happy with, because you don't want greed to take over. Have a good day. Hope we can all make generational wealth together with crypto.